When I got married to the love of my life, I believed that it would mark the beginning of my happily ever after. 5 years later, now I see how wrong I was. Hi, my name is Alyssa, and recently my life has been in complete shambles. It all started last year when I became pregnant with my husband, Marcus's child. The pregnancy had left me sick in bed for a few days, and during this time, I discovered a side of him I never would have even thought could exist. What made it worse was that I had never felt as vulnerable in my whole life as I did at that time. He would check in on me twice a day, which I hadn't thought much of since I assumed he didn't want to get sick as well. But I had noticed that he'd get home later than normal on many days during that time. He always covered for himself by giving me excuses about needing to stay to get overtime at work. Hey babe, what happened that made you get back so late?
Oh, just inventory stuff.
But something never felt right about his explanations, and they just left me feeling suspicious. I could tell something was off by the tone of his voice, but I usually disregarded these feelings, as I just thought that maybe it was just hormones making me feel crazy. Until one day I had decided I'd had enough. I had recovered most of my strength and began to start feeling less sick than before. With more energy and feeling more like myself, I decided it was the perfect time to find out if my feelings were justified or if I was worrying about nothing. In the morning, my husband came into the room to check on me as usual.
Still sick?
Yeah. I'm starting to get a headache now.
Oh, great.
The coldness in his voice startled me. I hadn't expected that type of reaction from him at all. Regardless, I kept up the act. Maybe you could turn off the lights? That might help with the headache.
Whatever.
Marcus rolled his eyes and went to turn off the bedroom lights. I had never seen him be so dismissive and rude towards me in all of our years of being together. To me, this proved that there had to be something going on that he wasn't telling me. I simply smiled and thanked him while he just walked out the door. I waited a few minutes before moving. I wanted to be absolutely sure he had left the house before doing anything, so there'd be no way of me getting caught. Once I was positive he had left, I began to carefully get out of bed and sneak outside. Making sure nobody was around to see me, I continued walking all the way to the coffee shop Marcus worked at. When I got there, I peeked into the big window outside to see if I could spot him working behind the bar, but he wasn't there. Confused, I walked inside.
Hi, welcome to the coffee shop. How may I help you today?
Actually, I had a question about one of the employees that works here. I was hoping you could help me. The cashier only frowned and shook his head.
Sorry, we're really not supposed to give out information about the workers here.
I passed him a $20 bill over the counter, attempting to persuade him into giving me what I needed. I was determined to do whatever it took to figure out what Marcus had really been doing after work. What do you know about Marcus? How often has he been staying after hours to...
Oh, he was fired 2 weeks ago.
I stood there, shocked. If that was true then, what had he been doing all this time? I silently nodded and walked out of the shop, back home and into my bed. I felt sick. I knew there was something wrong, something incredibly wrong, but I was scared about what I might discover. I didn't want my fears to be true, but for the sake of knowing, I decided to continue to investigate. The next day, we had the same morning routine. Marcus checked in on me, and I pretended to be sick. Only this time, I didn't wait long before getting out of bed. Today, I decided I was going to follow him to see where he was really going. And so I did just that, being careful not to be seen as I followed him to his destination. About 5 minutes later, he walked up to a red house. I stayed behind, sneaking around to the side of the house so I could hear what he would say to the person inside. Thinking quickly, I pulled out my phone and pressed the record button. That way, if I found out anything, I would have proof.
Hey babe, I brought you a gift.
Wow, a Gucci bag. I thought you said you were fired.
Took some money out of a spare savings account. Anything for the most beautiful person ever.
Oh, Mark, you can't stay here today. My boyfriend is coming home from work early.
Are you sure? I won't stay that long today. We can make it a quick...
I'm sure, Mark. I'm sorry, but he's going to be home really early, and I can't risk him finding out.
He won't find out.
I heard a small gasp from the girl Marcus had been talking to. I peered around the corner to see what was going on, only to find he had grabbed her arm and started trying to force his way inside the house. I made sure I had recorded all of it before sneaking away, scared of what would happen next. Once home again, I tried to process everything that had happened. Clearly, he was cheating on me with that girl. But where had he gotten the money to buy her such an expensive gift? As soon as the thought crossed my mind, an overwhelming feeling of dread washed over me. No, it couldn't be. I gasped and raced over to the computer to check the savings account we had set up for the baby. And sure enough, almost everything in that account had been drained. I felt like crying. He had ruined everything in my life. And for that, I decided he would have to pay. I took a picture of the savings balance and pulled up a list of the transaction history, all done by Marcus, taking a picture of that too. I knew I had to end things with him. He couldn't get away with this. I quickly hid my phone in the living room and pressed record. Just as I turned around, he walked through the doorway.
What are you doing out of bed?
We're done, Marcus. It's over.
What are you talking about?
I know what you've been doing. I know everything. I'm leaving you and there's nothing you can do about it.
No, you're not.
Excuse me?
I said no, you're not.
And with that, he hit me and kicked me and I fell to the floor. Too stunned to move, I laid there, watching as he walked down the hall and into his room. I quickly came to my senses, got up, grabbed my phone, and ran out the door. I ran all the way down to the police station to file a report against Marcus. I have all the evidence here on my phone. Multiple videos of what he's done and pictures of our bank account he took money from. Upon examining the videos, the police quickly took Marcus into custody. They caught him trying to drive away from the house, but quickly apprehended him. There was no doubt of what he did, and yet he still claimed that he was innocent during the trial. During a recess at the trial, he walked by me, threatening me under his breath.
I'm gonna get out of here, and when I do, you'll be sorry.
The rest of the trial continued, and Marcus was found guilty of grand theft for stealing more than $12,000 from the account, as well as assault for hitting and kicking me and shoving the other girl. He was charged with 5 years in prison, which was more than enough time for me to take everything and move to a different state. I changed my name and cut ties with everyone that I used to know, so that even when he did get out, his threat would be empty and meaningless, since he would have no idea where I would be. As for the baby, he was healthy and born a few months later with no complications. Of course, he would never know who his father was, for I feared what he would think if he ever found out what his father had done. But now, we live a normal life, or as close to one as we can. I've since moved on and have been happier than ever in our new home. Maybe one day I'll find someone new, but for now, I'm happy with the way things are. Thanks for watching.